Good morning, rise and shine on this beautiful Monday, or the time now is 8:37, and you're locked in with me today, Keelan J, bringing the praise party right here on WARR at 1520 AM, 103.5 FM. And yes, we are streaming live worldwide from our website, arrradio.com. Hope you had a wonderful, safe weekend, but we're back to Monday, a brand new work week and school week for so many on today. So, of course, as we always say, take care of business and then you can play later. But right now, this morning, go ahead and get your yawn in, get your cup of coffee and get your muffin and whatnot and sit at the table and hear about today's interview, today's show. We're going to talk about cancer. Oh, yes. And we're also going to be speaking with Mr. Tony Williams. Mr. Tony Williams. He's going to give an introduction of himself. He's here live in the studio this morning. Yes, here in Warrenton this morning. And we're glad to have him in the studio. So tune in right now. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend. Lock in right here to WARR because we have an amazing interview show lined up for you happening right here this morning. And we would like to go ahead and get started. Like I said, he's going to introduce himself, and then we're going to dive into a little bit about talking about cancer. And other than that, we hope you get all the information you need. Be inspired, encouraged on today's show. All right. It's a Monday, so go ahead and get started right here on WARR. So we like to say good morning to you, Mr. Tony Williams. How you doing on this morning?
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you, Keelan J.
Yes, sir. And we appreciate you stopping by Warrenton this morning for this. So we appreciate. Can you go ahead and just share a little bit to our community, to our audience, a little bit about yourself, who you are, and we'll go from there.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. It was such a pleasure driving here and being here with you guys in Warrenton, North Carolina. As Keelan said, my name is Tony Williams. I am from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'm here to share a little bit about my story and the patient's story. Born and raised in Lewisburg, right next door to you guys. Yeah, local boy. Went to NC State University.
All right.
And that was the precipice of me starting the rest of my life. And I'm a lot of things. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an engineer, I'm a musician. But the thing that I'm most grateful about is being a cancer survivor.
And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about Mr. Williams, but I want him to keep talking about the work that he is doing.
So back in 2021, I heard the words that no one ever wants to hear, and that was I had cancer. Pretty much changed my life. I was devastated. And when you hear those words, you think about all the people that you knew that had cancer, the outcome of them having cancer, and you begin to see where you are in that. Am I going to live? Am I going to make it? What's next for me? And so getting that diagnosis and the way that I came upon the patient story, my team of physicians came up with my treatment program. And of course, chemotherapy was one of those things. In my first chemo session, I remember opening up YouTube on my iPad. And the first thing I saw was the patient story. And inside the patient story, once I got into their channel, it was so many testimonials and so many great stories of people that are cancer warriors that are battling all types of cancer. And it was so motivating. I could literally see myself in someone's story. Every story that I encountered, I saw myself in that. And it kind of encouraged me that I'm going to be all right. There's other people out here fighting this. And together we can do this. Outside of having cancer, having a network of people and those that really care about your situation is you need that. Because cancer is mentally draining. It's mentally fatiguing, and the battle is often fought in your mind. And so having this as a resource and a tool helped me get through my initial chemo sessions. I saw myself shifting in my walk. I had been an entrepreneur for over 30 years, on my own company.
Wow.
Very successful, 200 employees, but cancer right at the height of COVID is what I was dealing with. And I had to put all that aside to literally fight for my life. And so 3 years into this, the position came available. And I inquired about it. I wanted to do this type of advocacy work. I wanted to speak on the behalf of patients. I wanted to tell their stories because they will reach so many people. I think God has perfect timing.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes things happen in your life, even though you are on a course and trajectory, sometimes he wants you to go the other way.
Can we go a little deeper into your story, Mr. Williams? You told us about the time they told you you had cancer and you went on YouTube and the treatment, but can you give us a timeline of events or things in your life as you were first diagnosed with cancer? Can you give us that? And if you can give us a little timeline of your process from when you first heard that you have cancer, the treatment, things like that.
Absolutely. I definitely enjoy telling this. Number one, whatever situations you're going through in life, they're always bigger than you.
Mm-hmm.
I have been a health fanatic my entire life. I have a cycling team, Team Flow Cycling Incorporated. I'm avid fitness. I ride bikes. I work out. And so I was doing those things. And then one day I was in the gym and I felt my back kind of pop a little bit. I said, okay, well, maybe I just hurt my back, pushing a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
And then I noticed a small swelling in my leg. And, being an ex-athlete, you just throw some ice on it, keep it moving, keep pushing. And so I didn't really pay it that much attention, but it wasn't getting better. So I went to my chiropractor and she started adjusting me. And of course, I was out of alignment and different things like that. But over time, we noticed this is not getting better and your leg is getting bigger.
Mm.
And so she said, Tony, this isn't right. It doesn't matter where you go initially. I'm very thankful for my chiropractor because she had the wherewithal to not just keep adjusting me and trying to get me in alignment, that she knew something was not right. She was the very first person that knew something wasn't right.
Wow.
And so she said, well, maybe you need to go to your internal specialist. I went to the internal specialist and said, well, maybe you got a hernia and, your blood came back fine. Nothing looks wrong. And so we were getting ready to leave the appointment. And then she said, well, let's take a CAT scan, MRI, just to make sure. And when she did that, we saw something was terribly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you need to go to the hospital immediately. I went to the hospital. They checking my blood. They're checking to make sure I didn't have any blockages. They checking just for all types of things. And so it came back that my blood really wasn't showing anything to them. It wasn't giving them any indication, yet physically they could see something was going on with me. So one of the doctors said, well, we need to send you to UNC Chapel Hill to see an oncologist. And immediately when he said that, I'm like, oncologist? I know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
It means cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was on a Saturday. That Monday, I found myself at the oncologist, and we were sitting there and doing extensive blood work. And some of my numbers were so bad, they immediately put me into chemo just to try to slow what I had down. Now, granted, I had rode my bike that weekend, went to the hospital the same weekend. Now I'm in a cancer chair and still trying to process what is going on. Nobody has defined what is wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so they confirmed that it was cancer. We didn't know what type. So we had to do a biopsy. They did a biopsy. Guess what? It came back inconclusive. Like, now we physically can see something is wrong, but his blood is not showing anything. And so we did a biopsy. They sent the biopsy to a specialist. And when that report came back, we saw cancer was all over my body. And I think you saw the image, right, Keelan?
Mm-hmm.
It was in my lungs. It was in my spleen. It was in my spine. It was everywhere. And I was diagnosed at that moment with stage 4 T histocyte-rich diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, rare. And immediately after that, we had to go into, and it was very aggressive. So we had to go into an immediate response to try to slow this thing down.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you guys, the pictures, if you would see the images, you can see when he said he had to get the scan, you can see literally the cancer in his body, as he just described. They did the initial scan, he said, and I'm looking at the pictures now while I talk to you. it's just everywhere. There's no other way to put it as he described. It was everywhere. So with that being said, you had that diagnosis, and I don't mind. Let's keep going a little bit more. What was next? What was your next steps?
Well, my next step beyond the initial shock, because imagine when you're talking to a physician or an oncologist for the first time, and they're trying to be delicate with what they're telling you, but this is life threatening. I could literally see, and my doctor in Raleigh, Dr. Bowles, love him to death. I'll consider him a little brother. And it's almost like you could see in his eyes how serious this was. But he was trying to articulate that very calmly to me, because you have to be calm in these situations. And so when he told me what it was, what type of treatment that we had to do, the first thing I was reconciling in my mind was, number one, I serve a greater power. That's when my, Keelan and I, we talked about faith in some of our conversations, right? That's when my faith in God, Jesus Christ, gave me a unfound strength to know in the end, I'm going to be okay. I know what that's saying. I know what that looks like, but that's not going to be what's going to be in the end. And so he told me that, and he told me what my protocol, my treatment would be, which was RCHOP. That's just one of the acronyms for it. Really tough treatment. I had to get chemotherapy every 21 days because I just needed time in between for my body just to recover from that type of treatment. It's just really hard on your body. And I did that for 6 months. And went through that for 6 months. Things got progressively better. I think, initially when you're going through chemotherapy or anything like that, chemo is designed to kill just about everything. And so your body just not being introduced to that, and you get introduced to that, you're going to see some improvement. But cancer is very smart, and it can adapt. And at the end of that 6 months, even though we saw improvement, it was still there. And here we went through the toughest protocol that they had at the time for me, and it didn't get everything that we needed to do. And so we're sitting here, so okay, other options, bone marrow transplant, stem cell, these types of things. So we decided to take a couple months off. And in between that, I started back riding my bike. And I started back going to the gym. I had told myself, I said, whatever this is, being a blood cancer, the way to move your lymphatic system is to exercise. And I never stopped exercising. I never stopped moving, because the key is you have to treat this thing as if, one of the things I said, Keelan, was cancer will come for you. And you don't know when it's coming, but when it comes for you, you got to come for it.
Say that one more time for somebody.
Cancer will come for you. Things will happen to you in your life. But when that thing come to you or come at you, you got to flip it and come for it. So instead of being the victim, I became the aggressor. I said, I am not going to allow you to run roughshod in my body. I am going to fight back. And so I turned that against cancer. And now I'm the villain. I'm the victim. I'm the one making cancer feel like it's the victim. You mess with the wrong person.
I like that.
Yes, sir.
I like that.
And so tied into my faith and the belief in God, I knew that in the end, I'm going to see this result. And so we were sitting there and going over the options. And at the time, there's CAR T treatment. For those of you who don't know, it's too elaborate to go into now, but it's called CAR T treatment. And you can Google that, CAR-T. And it's almost like an immunotherapy type treatment. And it is not for every type of cancer. So it was being tested, and scientists was working on it for various cancers and saw some results. But right at the end of my grace period, the FDA approved CAR T for my type of cancer. And so what CAR T was, I had to go through a process of, they would take my blood out, take my white blood cells out, the things that in your body that fight disease as part of your immunotherapy. And they would send that off to a lab, and they would re-engineer my cells and program them to specifically fight cancer. And then they would give it all back to me.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, sent the blood off a couple weeks, came back, gave me that back. And now those super cells, as I call them my special forces cells, are in my body, engineered to specifically fight cancer. And so that's the protocol that I am in now. So there's no more chemo for me. I am in CAR T. And so with CAR T, it's a wait and see. But in my waiting, I still have faith, and I still know that I'm healed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look like it, do I?
You look good.
If I didn't tell you,
look
you
good.
wouldn't know.
You look good.
That is God. Initially, you go through that shock and your body adjusting, and I lost a lot of weight, and I looked like a cancer patient.
All right.
But God turned that thing around, and
y'all, he's buff in here now.
yeah,
buff.
Yeah. You got to see the guns.
Got black curly hair. He's buff, okay?
Yeah,
so he looks good. I used to sing a song, you look good, you look fine.
You
all
look
right?
fine. Yeah, man. And so
and
that's where we are now. So I'm in my CAR T.
That is a blessing right there. So inspiring, and I hope those that are listening, you are taking notes, that you are being encouraged on this morning. The time now is 8:58, and you're tuned in with me, Keelan J, right here on your favorite radio station, WARR in Warrenton. Mr. Tony Williams is in the building today, and he just shared a little bit about his journey with cancer. You can learn more also about Mr. Tony Williams' journey, especially see those photos, the photos that he's talking about of what he was looking like when he was going through cancer, and even the scan of the cancer in his body. You guys need to look at these photos. With that being said, we've already touched about how your faith has helped you overcome. And we know a little bit already about how medical professionals have played their part in helping you survive cancer. And I want to ask you now, how do you cope or manage the fear of cancer recurrence and stand proactive about your health?
Well, here's the thing, and this, I don't want to sound too deep, but this is how I really feel about it. When you are diagnosed with cancer, specifically one that is as aggressive as mine, cancer is known to kill people. That's the reputation it has. And just the word cancer evokes so many emotions into people. The word cancer, the type of cancer, the stage of cancer, all of that gets a different type of reaction. So yes, had cancer, type of cancer rare, stage of cancer 4. That's like high alert right there. That's like when you tell people that, they saying, okay, how long do you have to live? And so I look at it, I had to reconcile with death. No, one thing as a cancer patient, UNC Hospital is amazing. Even though I went to NC State, they were amazing. They are my family. And they make sure that you have everything in order. I had to get a counselor. I had to get over my end time, and they make sure that these are real things that you have to really reconcile with doing, that you may not make it from this, right? And so I had to reconcile real quickly with death. Hard thing to do. But the way I overcame, Keelan, was when I got to the point that I was not afraid to die. Think about it like this. You are born to live, but you live to die. And when I got to the point that I wasn't afraid to die, I started to live.
Wow.
We say all the time, I'm taking it. Keelan, how you doing, my man? One day at a time, Tony. We say those things because truly you think you have an unlimited amount of days, but you really don't. It's always been one day at a time. And so when you have cancer, it's literally one day, you stack it, and you may get a week, you may get a month, you may get years out of it, but it's a stackable one day.
Wow.
And I just take it one day at a time now. 24 hours. Whatever I do within that 24 hours, when it's over and I wake up the next day, I start again. I do not look ahead anymore. I do not plan for anything beyond the moment that I am in. I take advantage of all of that because I don't know how many days or more laps I have around the sun. Guess what, Keelan? We never knew that.
That's right. That's right.
And so what really changed? It was just my perspective on how short time is. That's a scripture in the Bible, I believe it says, for what is your life?
Oh, yeah.
It's just a thin vapor that appeareth and vanishes away.
That's right.
That's how short your time here.
That's right. Oh, you talking right this morning.
That's right.
And that leads me to my next question. What lifestyle changes have you made? We already know that you were active. You exercised. You're a cyclist. You was very involved with your health and a healthy lifestyle. But now, what are you doing? Are you doing the same thing? What would you tell other people Maybe they didn't start off exercising. They didn't have a lifestyle that they wanted to
Mhm.
help with their life and their health. What would you tell them?
I would tell people that, um, of course, be mindful of what you're eating. But with the prices of food and just the everyday struggle it is to maintain your life, sometimes the food choices we make are a direct reflection of what we can afford.
Mm,
So,
mhm,
what I tell people is what's most important is detoxification. Your body sometimes, the body is amazing. It is equipped to handle just about everything that we throw at it. But sometimes through the food that we're eating, the chemicals and the hormones and all this in the food, your body can't handle all of that foreign stuff in it. And so if you get you a good detoxification program, and whatever that may looks like for you, it helps flush your cells out
mhm,
and it helps replenish your cells and give your body a chance to reset.
mm.
So even though the food choices that you're making may not be the best, the detoxification will help your body purify those things that you're consuming.
Okay.
And so I focus a lot on detoxification. I do a lot of juicing. Um, I use we can talk about some of the stuff I use. I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't give you any advice on that. But when you have time, look up how to detoxify your body.
Mhm,
And if you can help detoxify your cells, which means expunge all those chemicals that your body has caught and captured and trying to get rid of, then you will see some improvement in your health
mm.
in spite of some of the food choices.
I like that.
Yeah.
Detox. Um, and I was just reminded when you was speaking earlier, the last time we met, um, and if you want to share about how you didn't necessarily share your diagnosis with your family or friends immediately.
Did not.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sometimes when you do share, you need a surrogate. But I didn't share initially because you have to come to grips with what is happening with you.
Mm-hmm.
People can imprint on you, right? Your loved ones, your family, any person that cares for you, whatever emotional response they have to what's going on with you,
Mm-hmm.
they displace that to you.
Mm-hmm.
But you're the one that's already carrying that. And so now it has compounded. And so until you can resolve and find strength in what is happening with you, I did not choose to share that with them
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't need them imprinting on me. I didn't need them telling me, hey, don't do this because this could do this. Or I didn't need them on Google telling me, hey, less than 2% of the people live from this.
Come on now.
I call that planting poison pellets.
Mm.
They mean you well, they love you, but they just inserted a poison pellet in your mind and reminded you that you could die.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need to hear all that.
Right.
So I made myself isolated. And then when I did decide to talk to people about it, I made sure I had a surrogate. I used my sister as a surrogate, and she would tell the family.
Wow.
And so that is very important. Loose lips sink ships, as they say. You got to keep some of this stuff to yourself, and you got to let God deal with you.
Mm.
When you don't have anywhere else to turn, who do you turn to?
Come on now.
You turn to God, but he wanted you to turn to him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It just took this to bring a little more focus to it, right?
Right. Right.
And so he will tell you and share with you. A lot of times people think if something bad happened to you, it's a reason, right? You're being punished or you might have did something in your past. Not true.
That's right.
Good stuff happen to good people all the time.
That's right.
It's how you handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And how can God get the greatest glory from that is making it happen or allowing it to happen to somebody you think it wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody would have ever thought cancer would be at Tony's doorstep, but it was. And so sometimes in the middle of what you are going through, you can change the trajectory and the outcome.
That's right.
You don't see it initially,
Mm-mm.
but you got to see what's coming.
Hope y'all getting this word this morning.
Yeah. And so I think God put a stop sign on the situation and said, nope, going left.
Wow.
And I've been going left ever since.
Wow.
And I can't go any other direction but left. Yes, sir.
And you've answered this question, but I just want to go ahead and ask that we're clear and let the community hear this. How has surviving cancer changed your perspective on life and your priorities?
It gave me a greater appreciation for people
Mm.
and humanity. I've always had that, but we all are so precious. And sometimes we are lost, and you need people that have gone through something to help shed light on the pathway of someone that may feel like they're lost in whatever capacity that is.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have lost that regard for each other.
Mm-hmm.
We don't value each other. Life is not important unless it's mine. I was telling a group of people the other day, I said, a lot of people do token things, Keelan. They have an event or they'll give out some turkeys. But a lot of that stuff is just to make them feel good, because after they do it that one time, you don't see them again, and maybe until a year later.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where is the passion for the hungry that's always hungry?
Right.
Where is the passion for the lost that is never found?
Mm-hmm.
And so historically, there have been pillars of injustice that we have faced, whether it was in banking, whether it was education, the health system. All of these things were blockages for the advancement of our people. But things are changing and things are getting better.
Yes.
And so I am here to let people know that the way we look at medicine and the way we perceive medicine doesn't have to be that way. There are people that can testify that things are different. But in order for that to happen, you have to have people like me and people like you that are willing to share the story on the air, that there are other options for you.
And that was very powerful. Value each other. That was very powerful, because we don't see that. We like to say God has no respect to person, but cancer doesn't either.
It does not.
And we ought to keep that in mind.
Why is faith leaders important? Leaders of our churches, why are they important? The reason why they're important is when you are from a small town, a rural town, and let's say you're having financial difficulties. You may not have the best insurance, or you may not have any insurance. When you don't have all these things, like we said before, you turn to your faith in God, that God will do this for you, and he can. But here's the thing for you listeners. The God that we serve works in all ways. He could come down here and manifest himself in a bush. He can inhabit a body and speak to you, or he can use the medical professionals that he created as well. But at the end of the day, he still get the glory and the credit.
That's right.
Faith leaders can discuss that when our people don't have anywhere else to turn, how faith is important, how faith can get them across. The Bible says faith without works is dead. Now, what does that mean? That means you got to do something. If there's no activation behind your faith, it is useless. These are cancers that plague the African-American community. And so we want to have experts in that area there to talk to you about what are your options. When you're growing up in Warrenton and Lewisburg and it's just the one doctor and you telling him how you feel, him or her, and you get misdiagnosed. And it could be cancer, but you don't know. So you just continue onward. But there are other options for you. These are places that you can go. These are people that you can see. You may remember me, Tony, on the interview today said, hey, Tony said his leg was swollen. He said his back was hurting. That doesn't say cancer, does it? That just says an athlete that's working out too hard.
That's right.
But it didn't mean that for me. I had cancer. Growing up in my neighborhood, chemo was a bad word. Don't do chemo. That's going to kill you. Don't let them use you as a guinea pig. These are things that we know is said in our communities. And so we want to break down some of those myths in regards to the African-American community. We want to discover valuable tips for overcoming obstacles in accessing healthcare. How do you go to a clinical trial? How do you participate in that? Who pays for that? If I take off work, will I lose my job if I'm going to do this clinical trial? So now you're weighing survival versus ultimate survival, right? You know cancer will kill you, but you still got to work and provide for your family. Those are decisions that people can't, make that easily. We have seen that. And we want to understand the importance of cancer screenings and early detections. We've known for years as far as African-American men that we need to get our prostate checked, but we don't. Why? Because we look at it as being invasive, right? I don't want them doing that to me. We need to check those things. We are high in the propensity to have prostate cancer. Every African-American man needs to have his prostate checked. That could ward off the potential of finding out something sooner rather than later.
That's right.
We want to learn more about navigating a cancer diagnosis. What does that mean for you? It doesn't necessarily mean what you think. But if you don't have the right resources and understanding, then your mind will go crazy. You'll get on Google and start doing self-research, and pretty much everything that you're researching is not accurate. Learn about more treatments and clinical trials and things of that nature.
If anything else you need to share with us, Mr. Williams, anything you want to highlight, shout out, or just mention or reiterate again to the community?
Well, thank you, Keelan J. I'm appreciative of WARR for allowing me the opportunity to come here today and speak. I think sometimes we get to the party late on some things. The world is changing and information is changing, and we kind of arrive late. So come early. Put yourself in the building so you can kind of understand what's going on.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. If there's nothing else, we appreciate it again. Mr. Williams being here with us live in studio at WARR in Warrenton, North Carolina. Be blessed. Stay safe. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Be blessed. Stay safe.